I probably should start by mentioning that I studied in France in the early 70s, young and in France. I was excited, it was wonderful. And somehow from some friends, I heard about L'Arche. I'd never had any experience with people with disabilities, with intellectual disabilities. I didn't know anything about them. But I heard about this community called L'Arche and had a chance to go visit it one day. We arrived unannounced, knocked on a few doors. We were graciously welcomed, taken through the community, through the workshops, through the homes. And I was really smitten. I said, this is something I want to know more about. And so that summer, I came back and spent 2 months in the community and went on vacation with a group for a month. The French take a month's vacation every year, even the folks with disabilities. And then when I finished my, excuse me, when I finished my studies, I went back, but went to another large community, not Trolliboy, not the center, but up on the north coast of France, Ambleteuse. It's a lovely community, right? You can look across and see the cliffs of Dover. And I spent 3 years in that community and loved it. I returned, and during that time, my friend Peter Byrne, Father Peter Byrne, came to visit, spent 3 weeks with us. Then when I came home, Peter and I were attached to St. Leo's Parish and in the hilltop of Tacoma. We moved into a house down the block rather than live in the rectory. And the Martin Luther King Center, which was there was a lot of activity, community activity going on in that area, had a program for folks with disabilities. So several nights a week, a group of folks with disabilities would gather there. And that's how we met these 2 men. We came home for dinner one night, we met those 2 men, and we invited them for dinner. Well, they came for dinner, that was nice, Greg and Fred, we met them, and then we thought that was the end of it. But the next night, there was a knock on the door, and it's 6 o'clock, and here were our friends, Greg and Fred. So they joined us for dinner that night, and the next night, and the next night, and this went on for weeks and into months. And Peter's cooking was better than mine, but it wasn't the cooking that drew them. They were hungry. They were hungry for friendship, and they were hungry for a relationship. And I had this experience in France beforehand, so we were very open to that. But we got to know Greg and Fred quite well, got to know their families. So one day I said to Peter, Peter, are we really hearing that knock on the door? Are we really hearing what it means? Is God saying something to us? And so we decided to welcome them to live with us. We had our house licensed as an adult family home, and they came to live with us. And then it was quite organic, we were in touch with their families, we knew their families well. And then different people started to come in, a couple of young people coming out of college came to live with us, and a family with a son with disabilities, actually the siblings of a man, his parents had died, asked if he could live with us, Bill Downey, famous Bill Downey in our community. Anyway, the community started to grow organically, but it was all because Greg and Fred chose it and came back. And they, it was during those years when the institutions were being emptied out, and they weren't living in a bad place, but they were looking for more relationship and friendship, companionship, and they found it in our house. We were grateful for that. And that's what L'Arche is all about. It's all about relationship. It's all about valuing each person, and that's what Greg and Fred wanted, and we were able to welcome them, and that was the beginning of L'Arche Tahoma Hope.